Brethren lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Now, you might have noticed recently that a couple of big clubs in the Premier League are being taken over from Chelsea. Manchester United are now on the brink of being taken over. We are talking about QATAR. We are talking about another Manchester United born billionaire that's trying to buy them. And also we're talking about Liverpool, who are initially and most recently put up for sale as well. And what we are getting is that all these clubs, Man United, Newcastle, Chelsea, and Liverpool, that are actually being bought, that are actually being put up for sale, are going to become huge powerhouses with massive spending, massive spending power, and massive budgets to spend money in the transfer window. We've already seen it with Chelsea, who are not even cautious of FFP, who are not even cautious of whether their spending is within the limits. They're spending almost up to $1 billion within a year. If Chelsea spend another 300 million in the summer, they will have spent £1 billion within 1 year. So we're going to be talking about Arsenal and what this means for the future for Arsenal. Are we really still competing with Man United being, potentially, and this is still potentially being taken over by QATAR? With Newcastle already taken over by the Saudis or Qatar, I don't even care. It's oil money. With Manchester City already taken over by Saudis, and we've already seen what this is. We have already seen when a team is taken over by by the oil guys, what this happens, boys. It means we are going to see a dominance, right, of 2, 3, 4 clubs for 10, 20 years. If Man United get the Qatari money, Liverpool get the Qatari money, City have it, Newcastle have it, and Chelsea potentially, who have a guy who just goes around, splashing money as if he just picks it on the trees. Those are 5 clubs that are going to be completely unmatched, not only for us in the Premier League, but even in Europe. And the question for me, guys, is what does this mean for Arsenal? Where does this leave us? We have one of the owners that are quite stingy. We know that. The Cronkies don't spend a lot of money. And, it's already exemplary what happened in January. Arsenal went in for 2 players, that is Joao Felix and Mikhail Modric. They were our priorities. Our manager said, get me those and I could do well. Chelsea overpowered us, took both players, even though Mikhail Modric had set his eyes, on Arsenal, and we were his priority, and he was our priority. The guys at Chelsea threw money at the deals, and you couldn't believe it. You just couldn't believe it. So where does this leave Arsenal? And I need your thoughts. I need your opinions as quickly as we can. Because if you Man United buy 300 or 400 players worth that money, we are no longer competing with them, right? If Liverpool also re-inject 500 million pounds or of 600 million pounds in their squad, we are no longer competing with them. Okay. Now, look, listen. Potentially, there are conglomerates as well that have been trying to buy Arsenal. Of course, we've had the stories of Daniel Ek, the Spotify boy. We've heard of the billionaire, the Indian billionaire who wants to buy Arsenal, and Qatari as well were interested in buying Arsenal at some point in time. But I think the difference was our owners were not willing to sell. They were willing to stay, and they were willing to inject something they've actually done. Over the past 2-3 seasons, the Cronkies have spent over 500 million quid on this Arsenal side. I mean, not only on players, but in terms of infrastructure and also in terms of turning things around and the way the club is being run. To be honest, right about now, I'm so proud of Arsenal Football Club. I'm very, very proud of this club. We are well run. We are well managed. You can see from top to bottom, everything we do is with a lot of pure intent. Okay, everything we do is with a lot, is with sheer precision. Everything we do is aimed at us, going forward. But that is not the point. The point is, football is a result-oriented game. Football is about trophies. Football is about heritage. Football is about history. And how do you create the history? You win titles. How do we create the heritage? You win silverware. And can Arsenal now go on to compete with Man United, with Liverpool, with Newcastle in the next 5 years? With the Cronkies at the helm of this club? In my opinion, no. So I'm sorry for the Cronkies. They have tried their level best to, turn things around, but it's not good enough. It's never going to be good enough. They are never going to be willing, if you can't sign Mikhailo Modric for 100 million euros, but there is a rival, a direct rival, a London rival in Chelsea who are saying, okay, we are willing to do that. We know Man United, it's no secret. You look at the last 10, actually not the last 10, but the most expensive 10 signings in Premier League history, 6 of 7 of them are Manchester United. Manchester City is a no-brainer. They've already brought in, Jack Grealish, 100 million, right? Meanwhile, our most expensive signing is 72 million Nicola Pepe, who even actually didn't work out, who even no longer plays for the club. So where does this leave Arsenal? For me, there are only 2 ways, and there are only 2 approaches to this. Number 1, the Cronkies back us with more money. The Cronkies now have got to, I don't know, not even listen, but they've got to watch this space. They now have to reanalyze their strategy. They have to reanalyze whatever they're willing to do with this Arsenal side and conclude, right? And conclude that the money they're putting on the table is not enough. If you don't want to sign Mikhailo Modric for 100 million euros, but you are willing to sign Leandro Trossard for 27 million euros, it doesn't make you compete. It does not make you compete. And I know many of you are going to say, Cossy, we are on top of the league. Cossy, look at Chelsea after spending the money. Cossy, look at Liverpool. But we are already having 2 big problems in Newcastle, right? And Chelsea. And of course, these are 2 clubs that are actually not doing very well. These are 2 clubs that have not reached the full potential of their powers. Newcastle, 2-3 years down the road, they're going to be a very, very different side. Chelsea, 2-3 years down the road with the right manager, they're going to be a very, very different side. So the Cronkies now have to know that Declan Rice, 87-90 million pounds, that is the bare minimum. That is the standard. Signing a player for 100 million pounds is now the bare minimum. Football is very close to going into the 300 figures, the 400 figures, the 500 figures, okay? And I'm worried. I'm worried for football, but I'm also worried for Arsenal. Because if Benjamin White is 50 million, you've got to listen to that. If Benjamin White is 50 million, then Declan Rice, in my opinion, is 150 million. Then Jude Bellingham is 200 million. Right? And you look at the space, it is unregulated. UEFA do not have a transfer cap. They don't have a price ceiling. You can buy as for any price. 300 as long as you can afford, 400 million as long as you can afford, right? And right now you're looking at these deals that clubs are giving, players 7-year deals, 9-year deals. With the 1 billion euro release clause. Someone, PSG, Man United, or wherever or whoever is going to trigger that release clause. I'm telling you, it's not very far away. And this is my prediction. A team is going to trigger a release clause of 1 billion very, very soon. Because that is where football has gone. So the Cronkies, instead of going, we want to, create a project that is actually looking good, young players coming into the team. That is good, sir. That is very good. And it could come around next year. But that project cannot win you 2 Premier League titles. It can't. The next Premier League title is surely Manchester City's. If Arsenal win this one, the next one is surely Man City's. And after that, Liverpool will be back. Chelsea will be back. Newcastle will be up. Man United will be back. It will be useless to keep these, small projects, unless we are going to become a Borussia Dortmund. We forget about the title and start selling players, start engineering. Because where football is going, you could either decide to be one of the two. You either become this club that, engineers players and then, sells them, or you become the big powerhouse that has the money to, win the Champions League by buying players from these other small academies. That is option one. Can the Cronkies, do they have the balls to go bold? Do they have the balls to say, we are going to back Arsenal? We are going to go all the way. We're going to do whatever it takes to back Arsenal no matter what. In my opinion, I don't want to judge them, but the best they've done is the best they can do. And I don't want to be ridiculous. I don't want to sound ridiculous. The best they've done is the best they can do. I don't see them in any way, shape, or form going, oh yeah, finally, we have realized that the money in the game is needed, so we're going to start spending hundreds of millions every summer. Those guys cannot spend 300 million in a single summer. Chelsea can. United can, because United have done it before. City can. And all the other clubs can actually do. The other option, which is the second one, is takeover. And if it's a takeover, it should be Qatar. To be honest, I don't care. It should be Qatar. If you're going to compete with Newcastle, Man United, PSG, and all these other clubs that do have the financial resources, they have everything it takes. They've been taken. United, where they are right now, do not even need a takeover. I'm sorry. United do not need a takeover to be the best team in the world. All United need right now is for their owners to release like 200 million pounds every year or every single summer, and United will be back at it again. And right now, United have the muscle to spend 200 million without the Qataris. Imagine the Qataris coming in. Imagine a takeover billionaire, taking them on. What's gonna happen? What is gonna happen, right? So for me, if Arsenal are going to compete in the next decade, we need the money. We need the oil money, and I know everyone is going mad. I know everybody is going bold about these decisions. Why does everybody say they need oil money? Why does this and this happen? We need that money, and we desperately need it, right? We need that money, and it should come in as quickly as possible. If Arsenal are not taken over by in the next 10 years, in the next actually 5 years, we stand a high chance of becoming a solid mid-table team. We stand a high chance of becoming a team that is going to be grooming talent for Man United, for Man City, and all these other clubs. For me, I don't think Arsenal can reject 200 million for Saka. I don't think. I mean, it's hypothetical. As fans, we reject the money. But as a club, can they reject that money? Can they reject an amount that big, 200 million for Saka? I don't think they can. Okay, Odegaard, 35 million. If they're offering us 100 million right now, 70 million pounds in profit, quit. Can we reject that money? I don't think we can. So the solution is Arsenal getting, the money. We need to get the money to compete. And that's why I'm so desperate that we win the Premier League this campaign. If we don't, this is the... Do you remember that period? Do you remember that season where Leicester won the Premier League? You remember that? Do you remember that season? Ever since then, there's been only one mediocre team that has actually finished in the top two. That was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United. Ever since then, teams that are able to spend billions, teams that are able to spend hundreds of millions, are the teams occupying the first two positions. And Arsenal to be where we are now, everybody says, oh, it's too early. Oh, we've spent fucking billions. We've spent a lot of money on this project. Thomas Partey, almost half of 100 millions. Ben White, 50 million. That's half of 100. Gabriel Jesus, 45. Alexander Zinchenko, 35. We spent money. We've spent money over the last 3 years to be where we are. right? But it's not enough. It's not going to be enough. I've made my announcement and I've made it early because I've seen it coming. I'm about to do a video on the 90 More podcast about Manchester United potentially being taken over by Qatar. I know and I believe they'll be taken over by Qatar. And I'm going to say this. There is no point in fighting the UEFA Super League. There is no point. Apart from sheer hypocrisy and sheer jealousy, there is no point in fighting the European Super League. It's already here. The Premier League is the Super League. Look at these owners. Where are they coming from? If there is no vetting system, someone just comes in, doesn't even need to organically grow the revenue of the club, just spends hundreds of millions. And then after they say, we are investigating Manchester City for the last 10 years. It's sheer hypocrisy. You cannot investigate Manchester City as Chelsea spent 700 million within 4 months. You can't do that. It's absolute hypocrisy. Absolute hypocrisy. And for me, football has now gone onto the next stage. If Qatar don't take over Arsenal, our competition is gone. Because I don't believe there is any other guy who wants to buy Arsenal and spend $1 billion on Arsenal every year mercilessly, like they don't care. Because with the Qataris, the Saudis, it's the same. With the oil countries, they're looking for publicity, right? And that's why they're willing to splash hundreds of millions in Europe. They're looking for publicity. They're looking for popularity. Americans are not looking for fucking popularity. They're already popular. Russians, maybe, but they now know they can't easily invest in Europe. So that's it from me, guys. That's it. I'm going to watch the Manchester United game. You can catch me later on the match reaction for that one. And of course, we'll be in touch. We'll be talking. See you soon.